Magnus, the elevator has reached the floor that the Voidfish's lair is on, and the long hallway leading down to its chamber is quiet and unoccupied. The lights are flickering in here, too. The door at the end of the hallway is half open, nearly smashed down, and through the crack in the door, you can see the faint glow of Fisher and the bodies of a few of those shadowy creatures lying motionless on the ground. And there's a pool of standing water kind of pouring out into the hallway from the tank that you smashed, and it's just trickling slowly through the door. You prepare for battle, holding, I'm assuming, the baby Voidfish in your other arm, dual wielding.
Picture him like peeking over my shoulder, like he's sitting on my shoulder like a cute parrot.
As you make your way into that room, you realize that you took out a bunch of the shadows in this room when you were still in your mannequin form, and you actually, I guess you see your mannequin form lying on the ground, sort of in this pile of like half ash downed enemies. And while you took down a lot of them, Fisher managed to take out the rest after you went down. But Fisher's injured, and it doesn't look good. Several of his tendrils are severed on the ground. Some of them are coiled around the throats of those downed shadows. There are a few large cuts going up its body, and it's breathing. If that is actually like what it's doing, its breathing seems labored, and it has one of its tendrils on Johann's body, which is motionless and face down in the water. And as you enter the room, it hums weakly. And the baby Voidfish responds with a brighter, far more energetic hum from your shoulder and starts to float towards it, but then it looks kind of scared and like kind of hangs back a little bit.
No, it's okay. I walk over there with it. Holding one tendril, holding its hand, I walk over to Fisher with it.
You walk the baby Voidfish over to Fisher, and I think Fisher, it doesn't have the energy to have this like exuberant response to seeing its child again, but it lifts one of its tendrils up and wraps it around the baby Voidfish and sort of nestles it up against its body. And when it does that, the baby Voidfish seems like it's not scared anymore. It's humming its song. What do you do?
Fisher, buddy, I told you I'd bring it back.
It hums at you.
I'm so sorry I forgot you, buddy. I'm so sorry.
It lifts up one of its tendrils and puts it on your shoulder.
I lean my head in so that my forehead's pushing against it, and I start humming.
The colors inside of it float a little bit, as if just like hearing a little song is sort of improving its mood a little bit. But it looks bad still.
Fisher, you tell me what you need, okay? And I'll do anything, and I'll do it, okay?
Fisher takes the tendril that it has on Johann's body and nudges it. And in that moment, you don't know if Fisher knows that Johann is gone, but it's like Fisher's trying to signal to you like what it needs is what Johann did for it for so many years. And I think the baby Voidfish like sees this response and uncoils itself from its parents' grasp, and you see it sort of frantically start like darting around the room, like it senses something in the room, and it's moving over towards a back corner of the room where you see Johann's desk. There's a parchment of sheet music. And I think like from your time at the conservatory, like you understand like sheet music, and you kind of glance it over and kind of recognize it as this 7-note song is like the running melody of this composition, this EGGBABE, this Egg Babe music that like helped you realize that there was a second Voidfish, and you recognize this melody on this sheet music. And the ink is still wet. It looks like Johann finished this today, before he perished. And the title of this song is March of the Forgotten. And the baby voidfish is just like motioning towards this sheet music, just pointing at it, and like grabbing. I think it coils a few of its tendrils around your wrist and like pulls you towards this sheet music.
Junior, I get it. All right. I pick up the sheet music and I start walking towards Fisher.
I think Fisher responds to this composition just coming close to it, and you see some of those lights inside start to ignite as you're walking towards him.
Hold on 1 second, Fisher. 1 second. And I kneel beside Johann and I say, I will remember this. And I will make sure everyone else does. What you have done and what you have given will not be forgotten. And I feed the music to the fish.
Fisher weakly grasps the scroll and raises it up into its body. And for a moment, time stands still. And then you see something start to happen. Something that hasn't happened in decades. And thinking back, you only ever saw this happen from afar, back at the conservatory, when a work was accepted and broadcasted to everyone across reality by the fish inside that cave. The lights inside of Fisher's bell begin swirling again, and then it spreads throughout his entire form. This bright blue light surrounds his tendrils and starts coursing out of his body entirely, not like a light flashing from a beacon, but like ink through water. And he's floating off the ground now, and his tendrils are slowly swirling around him, and he looks vital. And the baby voidfish, seeing this, it starts to change too. Its entire body is surrounded in bright green light, which starts to disperse off its body and fill the room to the point where you can no longer see these two fish or anything. And then we see the blue stream of light followed by the green emerging from the Bureau's headquarters, spreading ever outwards to the world and worlds outside. When people talk about that day, they call it different things. But for this moment, when every living person across the whole of reality simultaneously received the voidfish's gifts, for this moment and the moments that followed, moments of heroism and sacrifice and luck, these moments are why we call this day the Day of Story and Song.